Hi, today I'm going to talk about graphing linear equations. I have 5 equations set up for you here. I'm going to use different approaches on each one of them. I am going to graph using table of values, graph using intercepts. I'm going to graph using slope intercept, and then I'm also going to talk about 2 special cases that we have. So the first time is graphing by creating a table of values. I like to set up my table where I have my x values that I'm going to pick, my equation, so I can do the math inside the table, my y values, and then also my ordered pair that it's going to be, that I'm going to use to graph. When you're doing a graph by creating a table of values, you get to pick what x points you want. I typically like to use -1, 0, and 1 because I find that they're friendly or easy to use numbers. Now, if our y has a coefficient, we're going to have to deal with multiples, but you can kind of play around with different ideas and see what works for you. If I plug in -1 for x, I get y equals 2 times -1 plus 5. -2, or 2 times -1 is -2. -2 plus 5 is 3. So for the point -1, my y is 3. If I choose 0, I get y equals 2 times 0 plus 5. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 5 is 5. That's the point 0, 5. Y equals 2 times 1 plus 5. So then 2 times 1 is 2, plus 5 is 7. So right now I have 3 values that I can plot on my graph. When you're graphing a line, it only takes 2 points to create a line, but you always want to do another one just in case to make sure that your line has the appropriate, it's going in the right direction and you haven't done any math wrong. The point -1, 3 means I go back 1 on the x-axis and up 3 to make a point. 0, 5, I'm at 0 on the x, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up. And then 1, 7. I go to the right 1 and up 7. And there is my line. I want to extend it out, draw some arrows. Easy peasy. That's for graph number 1. For graph number 2, I'm going to graph using my intercepts. And my intercepts are found by using x equals 0 and y equals 0 in the equation. Essentially, if I had a table of values, I'm using a different equation here. I'm using 3x plus y equals 6. Once I'm going to plug in 0 for x, and once I'm going to plug in 0 for y, and then I will graph those 2 points. Plugging in 0 for x leads us to a y value of 6. That is the y-intercept. So anytime you have x equal to 0, you find the y-intercept. If I use y equals 0, I have 3x plus 0 equals 6. 3x equals 0. Divide both sides by 3 and x equals 2. Thus, plugging in 0 for y leads us to our x-intercept. Now I know I just said that it's great to pick more than 2 points, but in the intercept method you only get 2 points. So 0, 6 is at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 0 is to the right 2, and then I draw a line connecting those points. Very rough graph here. For the next graph, I have y equals 2/3 x minus 3. I'm going to use the slope-intercept form, which means I start using my y-intercept, plot that point, and then use my slope to create a new point. So this is my y-intercept, which means on the y-axis I need to go down 3 and make a point. From that 3 value, I use my slope to tell me what my new point is going to be. This is a positive slope, which means I'm going to go up and to the right. So I go up 2, because that's the numerator. I go to the right 3, and I make a new point. And I can do that multiple times to create multiple points if I want, but I use that same rise and run. I rise 2, and I run 3. If it was negative, I would be going up and to the left, or down and to the right. Those would give you the same idea. Just remember that negative needs to go down from left to right. The last two graphs that we have are special circumstances or special equations that are vertical and horizontal lines. Whenever you have an x equals a number or y equals a number, that means that it's a constant value for the variable that's given. The first one was y equals 2, and the second one was x equals -1. So at y equals 2, y is always 2. It's not just a point at 2, it's a line through that point because y is always 2 regardless of the x that I pick. So this is a vertical line. I'm sorry, a horizontal line. For x equals -1, at the point -1, there's a straight line going up and down the vertical line. So anytime you have y equals a value or x equals a value, you're going to get a straight line up and down or side to side situation. Y will always be horizontal, x will always be vertical. Those are 3 methods to graphing and then your special situations. Thanks for watching.